e-Sgoil is an online means of being able to put direct teaching, pupil with teacher, into any classroom in the Western Isles, or in fact anywhere in Scotland, in real time, real lessons, pupil interacting with teacher. A couple of years ago in the Western Isles, like many authorities in Scotland, we found ourselves in a position where we needed a maths teacher, we had no teacher, we couldn't recruit, we couldn't find on supply, and no other authority could provide us. But we did have surplus teaching elsewhere, or we had staff who had the skills. So it seems the easy answer was to use the technology at our disposal and be able to work on an online means, and that's what we did. That's really simple. If the government spends 65 million on something, why would I spend £1? So it's free, it's easy to use, it's available in every school, and it does the job, and results would show it does it very effectively. Well, what it does mean is that in rural areas like the Western Isles, or even with our partners or other places we've talked to, it gives equity. It's a levelling field. It's really opportunities for youngsters they wouldn't otherwise have. It allows that. It makes sure it's qualified teachers, subject specialists, where before police takes might have been done by non-subject specialists. So it's actually giving young people what they want. It's giving head teachers greater choice in the curriculum, and it's giving me as the director a mechanism to make sure that I can fulfil the requirements of the curriculum. All classes in the Western Isles have qualified teachers teaching them, but it doesn't mean to say we've had teachers in every class, in the sense that in some of those classes we've had to use digital means, e-Sgoil. It's also meant that throughout Scotland, in the many local authorities, many schools we worked in, where there was gaps in teaching and there wasn't teachers available, we've been able to cover it. So what it really allows us to do is pool our surplus non-contact time in teaching and share it equitably across local authorities, between schools and within our own local authority. And that seems to me a fair offer to any teacher. I think what we've all got to remember is what young people want is teachers in front of them. What parents want is the youngsters to get the subjects and the teachers they need. What e-Sgoil does, it fills that gap where it's necessary to be used. So actually we've never had any negative reaction, we've only had a positive one. I think that's reflected in the way young people from as young as primary 1 right through have embraced it, taken it on board, how quickly teachers adapt to the methodology and the results that the youngsters achieve, because they do well, they're highly motivated, they've got teachers who are motivated because they're working with children who want to do their subject, and you've got parents encouraged because we've got a resource that fills a gap. So we're really chuffed. One of the benefits of the government's investment in GLOW and in modern education today is that most schools have a range of interactive whiteboards, they have laptops, and one of the principles of e-Sgoil is to use the basic kit that we can find in every school. So in reality for us, there's no additionality to the equipment. GLOW itself, VSEN, is free to use, and we've really never had much of a problem being around the resources. Of course, we can't have every youngster doesn't have a laptop at the moment, but with the ability we've got to fill the gaps, it's never presented a problem. This may seem a surprising answer, but we've never measured e-Sgoil in the sense of a budget-saving exercise. Mm-hmm. e-Sgoil operates on the basis that it's a live teaching, a teacher with a relationship with young people, so we would always aim to try and have the teacher initially work with the young people, go back occasionally to meet them, and for the majority of the time they'll be online. So most definitely we're not having to have teachers of itinerant music or supply teachers travelling long distances. We can address that. So for us, e-Sgoil is an efficient, it is a time-saving method of delivering education where we cannot recruit or otherwise have a teacher. But I would want to say we always aim to recruit our teachers. What this is allowing us to do is share those hours under 22.5 that teachers may have in their timetable fairly across the authority, so that we can plan actually the resource of teaching in everybody's interest. Now that has a further implication for a local authority, particularly in rural areas, but I would suggest anywhere, which is as we go forward in education, we have to plan more on a cluster or on a broader basis. And certainly now e-Sgoil is working across a regional collaboration. We're working across Scotland in general, and we certainly within the Western Isles are having to coordinate timetable planning on behalf of our 4 secondary schools. That's an efficient way to do things. And what it means is you have less frontline cuts in budget and more investment in learning at times when there are real challenges on budgets. But it's not a budget issue, e-Sgoil, it's an efficiency. The biggest lessons for me is, first of all, technology works. Secondly, don't be frightened. We have not found it difficult to help teachers learn the basic skills to give a lesson, a good lesson, teach well with young people. The other lesson is good teachers are good whether teaching in front of a class or online. You don't have to teach them to teach. You have to teach them how to switch on the technology if they don't know, or how to manage it. But that isn't a big lesson for most teachers. So the fear was what I've learned, not to allow it to get in the way of the willingness to solve the problem. And of course, the other thing about the problem is the youngsters don't have a problem with technology. They don't have a problem. And so this is a mechanism they're comfortable with. This is a process they live and learn in. So I'm not anxious about the live interaction, because young people interact with teachers equally well in this system, in my view. The next steps for us is to try and work with other authorities to share the teaching resources we've got, to look at putting more choices on offer to more young people across Scotland. It is engaging more teachers, building a better digital culture in the workforce, and it's reminding people that this technology will never replace teachers, but teachers without the skills to replace the technology will be replaced by those teachers who have these skills. So it's a tool, and we want to be working with authorities to try and make sure it's available to young people and parents. I think the revolution in digital learning is recognising that young people are not constrained by the school day. Technology is about letting them learn where and when they want to, and the evidence with e-Sgoil is youngsters will work out with the school day at times that they want to, and when they want to learn, they're more motivated and they learn better. So I think we will look to produce more online material, more online resources, and I think we want to work with other authorities to give a better offer and to ensure that young people have access to high quality teaching where and when they need it. I think there are other areas, teacher training, we want to see that develop so teachers we can be more effective and efficient in our delivery of teacher training. I want us to look at it answering issues of language. I think this is a fantastic opportunity to provide across Scotland in areas where, for example, much of the economic development is in other areas of the world where Chinese or Mandarin would be an important language. With our numbers of refugees that Scotland has taken in, the teaching of Arabic. I think there are a whole range of areas we can use this to improve what we're doing and the offer to young people. In addition to that, there's the whole area of resilience and emergency planning. There is it in community learning and development. There's the whole area of social isolation and cultural diversity, where we can bring people together with common interests, not just across the Western Isles, but across Scotland. And so far, we have had interactions from as far away as the Americas, the Indian subcontinent, Europe, and I don't think classrooms of the future or schools will be constrained by geography.